Hi greedy 3Ders. One of the inherent issues we get with 3D printing is at some point or other you're going to need to empty the vat of resin that's sitting inside your 3D printer. Now normally what we would do is we would take that vat out, and if you're lucky enough to have a spout in one of the corners, you would pour it through a funnel back into your resin until it's empty. Then you'd probably scrape it with a plastic scraper of some kind to get the majority of your resin into the corner that you're pouring it out of. And then once you've done that, you'd use a little bit of IPA and a bit of tissue, a little bit of cloth, and you'd clean your resin vat thoroughly. That's one way of emptying it. In the past, I've used a 50ml or 100ml syringe to suck as much of the resin out as I can, which just reduces the fact of taking the vat out when it's full, pouring it when it's full, maybe making a bit of a spill, maybe making a bit of a mess. A company called Swiftbuilder have sent me something which they claim is going to make the process a darn sight easier. Now the question we're going to look at today is, well, first of all, we're going to look at the item in question. We're going to see if it does the job, if it's good for use, or if it's a little bit of overkill. Bear in mind, what I'm going to show you is around about $80 to buy. Well, what is it I hear you say? It's this. It's the electric UV suction pump. So what I'm going to do is just show you the unboxing of it so you see what you get in the box, but more importantly I'm going to show you it working, and we'll see if it does what it says on the box or whether it just isn't worth $80, and we'll have a little discussion about it. Stay tuned. So first things first, let's open the box and see what goodies we have inside. Well, here we go. First thing that's out is the USB-C. This is a charger that will allow you to charge the unit itself. So a USB-C charger. We've got lots of instructions. Let's have a read of those. Let's open those and have a little look. Hang on. No, unless you speak Chinese, you are in a little bit of trouble because the instructions are in Chinese. I did use Google Translate. It wasn't a brilliant translation, so luckily it's not rocket science. Inside the box you will get the suction unit that you see here. It almost looks like a little hairdryer, and two little plastic bottles. Let me just move the cardboard out of the way and we'll have a closer look at these. As you can see, they are a nice fluorescent colour, and you have two of them, so you're doubling the suction power. Here's the unit itself. Now there's not much to it apart from there is a start-stop button. There's a light on the back. Green will be sucking out. Push the switch across and you will turn it to red, and that will be blowing. I think that's right. One of them's sucking, one of them's blowing. I think green is blowing actually, red is sucking. We'll try it when we suck up some resin. Either way, the switch will change and you can tell from the colour code which is which. Don't worry if it runs out of power, because here you've got the USB charging point. It's quick, plug it in and away you go. Simple really. You've got two of these little bottles, and on the end of them is a silicone rubber end, which is nice to see, because when you're rubbing this across your vat, you want something a little bit soft that's not going to damage your vat. And you've got, as you can see, these two bottles here. We'll have to test to see just how much they will hold. You can't take the grey bit off the bottom. They are complete units, and what you do with these two units is just plug them in to the suction unit. There's a little ridge that you can't miss. Plug it in till the ridge interacts and give it a twist, and it is in and done and dusted. And then all you do is tell it whether you want to suck or whether you want to blow, and you turn it on and it does the rest for you. Well, that's what's in the box, but of course the proof of the pudding, they say, is in the eating. So let's go and have a little play with a vat full of resin and see how we get on. So over to my GK3 Pro that's full of resin, and green light means it's sucking, and away we go. And you can hear it doing its magic and sucking the resin up. And I was quite surprised how quickly it was sucking the resin up. Actually, it was doing a really good job. Each of the yellow containers holds 300ml of solution, so once you get to that full point and you can quite clearly see it inside, you just change it to the red light by pushing the switch across and pumping it out, and there we go. You can see that it's pumping out relatively quickly, no real dramas. It's doing what it said on the box. Now, one thing to note is that this yellow container is not UV protective. So in other words, treat this as you would any other part of your 3D printing and keep it out of the sun. So don't suck anything up into your bottle and then take it into sunshine, as it will of course cure inside the bottle. I've sped this up a little bit so you haven't got to sit through the whole process, but it took around about 10 minutes at a push, and it did get 90% of the resin out. And once I was happy that 90% of the resin was out, I just used a little IPA on a spray, give it a wipe with a cloth, and it was done. I didn't need to take the tray out at all. Putting it back into the bottle was again simple, just a case of flicking the switch over and pressing the button until it filled up your resin bottle, 300 mils going in. I really was actually enjoying using this bit of kit, but that's when it all went a little bit pear-shaped. To clean this gadget, obviously we use IPA in the 3D printing for furniture to clean out resin. So I sucked up some IPA into the unit, gave it a bit of a shake, gave it a good old waggle to break down any of that resin in there, squirted it back out. And I did the same a couple of times. All going well so far, you would say. It's doing what it says it's supposed to do. It seems relatively easy to clean out. I'm happy with what I'm seeing. It's sucked out the resin and it's sucking up the IPA really easily and allowing me to clean it. I'm liking this. But then I stumbled across a flaw which is going to make this version of the suction unit pretty impractical to any 3D printers. When sucking in the IPA, one of the things I thought was, what happens if you don't turn it off when it's sucking? And yes, there is an overflow function right here, as you can see, which is a great addition, so it overflows. But then this happened. And that was it. The unit had broken. It had stopped sucking, it had stopped blowing, and no matter what I did to it, nothing made any difference. Okay, so I fed back to the company and I've linked in with the designer of this suction pump. And I've told them the problems that I've had. A couple of questions that I did ask them was, one, why did it cost $89 to buy? It seemed rather expensive for a pump of its nature. And they did tell me that it's had quite a lot of research and development going into it, which is why it is quite expensive. And I did say, and they did agree, that you've probably priced it out of the market of the average 3D printer, putting it in at $89. If we go back to the research and development, the issue with the machine is they haven't been using IPA to clean it out. They've been using another chemical, I believe ethanol. Now, IPA, it appears, has melted the little plastic bung on the inside of the cleaning unit. And when I pointed out that most 3D printers across the world use IPA to clean their resin, they were a little surprised by that, and they thought that we used ethanol, which is completely different. So IPA has caused the problem. The majority of 3D printers are going to use IPA, so basically the unit is not fit for function. I've had a link in with the company. What they're going to do is they're going to take it back to their research and development stage. They're going to change it to make it compatible with IPA, and then they're going to send me version 2 to test. Now, up until the point that it broke, I actually liked using it. I thought it was quite good fun. It meant I didn't have to take the tray out and pour it out. Didn't have to use a syringe, and it worked. It did work. Now, I know a lot of people out there will say, look, it's free, it's cheap, it's simple to just take the tank out and empty it. I absolutely get that, and I understand that completely. I think they've outpriced themselves out of the market at $89 anyway. Nobody, I don't think, is going to spend $89 on a pump when you can literally just take the vat out for free and pour it out. So their price structure may need to change a little bit. Obviously, they've got to make it fit for purpose, which they are going to do. So at this stage, I was really interested to try it, but of course, I cannot recommend this to any 3D printers out there who are going to be using it to empty resin and then use IPA in it. Bit of a shame, because it was quite a good bit of kit up until that point. But again, that's the point of, you know, them sending them out to 3D printers and us testing them to destruction. Not that I meant to test it to destruction. I just wanted to see what would happen if you didn't didn't stop it when it was full. And I'm so glad I did that, because it's pointing out a fundamental flaw that really should have been picked up in their research and development section. If you like what you see today, I would really like you to subscribe to the channel and think about joining the Greedy 3D Patreon. That's the way you can support the channel. If you want to buy anything from the links you see in the description, again, a little bit will kick back to the channel. But the most important thing to me is, what do you think? Would you purchase something like this? Would you buy it? Would you use it? What sort of price point would you put on it so that it would be appealable to you? My personal thoughts is I would expect something like this to cost no more than $40, a suction unit that just sucks fluid out. Maybe I'm undercutting it, but I certainly wouldn't spend $89 on something along this nature. You may disagree with me, and I would be happy for you to disagree with me in the comments. Of course I would. You may agree with me, and again, let me know what you think. I think this company is trying hard to develop stuff to make the 3D printing section, the cleaning section, easier, and we should encourage that within the 3D printing fraternity. But I just think at this stage they haven't done their homework properly, and they've produced something which isn't fit for purpose. But that may change, and when I get the second version, rest assured I will be testing it. Hope you've enjoyed that. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. See you next time.